They're being compared to Southern California winds that were in Northern California that we have not seen since 1964. It's unprecedented, and as you know, the weather today is much more in our favor. So we're hoping that, as you're going to hear in the next 15 minutes, the CAL FIRE and the other allied agencies are going to be working to contain it. Right now, there's a 0% containment, but we have the other statistics that will be coming from State Senator Mike McGuire and from CAL FIRE. I do want to talk about some of the people behind me. Our supervisor, Carrie Brown, has been evacuated, but she's been patrolling. Thank you very much, Supervisor. The Highway Patrol is being assisted with Fort Bragg Police Department, with some Lake County deputies, even though they have their own emergency, with Ukiah Police Department, Wills Police Department. We certainly appreciate that. We're going to go through this really quickly to try to give you as much information as possible. If you have specific stats, questions on it, we'd be happy to help you. We're not going to be able to help you with any specific location of where somebody can or cannot go. There is a 24-hour phone number in front, 707-467-6428. It's been staffed 24 hours since it started yesterday morning. It's going to continue being staffed. There's several reasons that we want the public to call us. People are scared. People are worried about their family members. Our 911 center yesterday, which usually receives 300 phone calls in a day, was inundated with well over 1,600 phone calls, and our staffing is doing everything we can. And unfortunately, the fire took out one of our repeaters in our county on Laughlin Peak, and it disabled some of CAL FIRE's communication. CAL FIRE has joined the Sheriff's Office in our communication system, and we have not seen 1 second where we do not have emergency contact with CAL FIRE. Unfortunately, the city of Willits, because of the repeater site, the city of Willits has lost all outgoing phone call ability and ingoing phone call. They can call within the 459 phone system with each other, and their cell service, as you may know, is out. AT&T is working on it as we speak. We truly expect Willits to have. I want to talk about some of the things that people are certainly scared about, whether it's their relatives. This 24-hour phone number is going to be able to, if a citizen is missing somebody or doesn't know where someone is, please call in this phone number. And we're keeping track with Health and Human Services Agency to make sure we can reconnect family members. There have been fatalities, which we'll be prepared to somewhat talk about. We have the hospital here. For some unknown reason, in the last 24 hours, the hospital has had 6 babies, and other people are going into labor now. So it's a very interesting situation there. While the Sheriff's Office has had mandatory evacuations, if somebody has refused to leave their house, we will not take them kicking and screaming. We do have citizens who have refused to leave their house that we do not know the status of. They lived in communities that have been absolutely destroyed. The Sheriff's Office is working with other law enforcement agencies at CAL FIRE today to go in those communities for hopefully finding people who are safe. I will introduce Unit Chief George Gonzalez, who can tell you where CAL FIRE is going, and then we'll go to State Senator McGuire.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning, everybody. George Gonzalez, I'm the CAL FIRE Unit Chief. I'm also acting agency administrator for the Sonoma Lake Napa unit, and we have encompassed the fires in Lake County as well. What that means is we're managing the fires in Mendocino County and Lake County. We have activated what's called an incident management team. It's 40 professionals from around the state with various departments with enhanced skills and abilities to manage large, complex incidents. You can notice them by the red hats here in the background for any specific type of information, facts, or time frames. I'd like to introduce the incident commander, Mr. Ron Bravo.
Good morning.
McGuire, just so they know who you are.
Okay, good morning. Ron Bravo. I'm just going to go over some quick information for you, and then we'll turn it over. First and foremost, I want to thank you for showing up this morning, and I appreciate your patience. This is a very dynamic situation that we're dealing with. We're currently around 21,000 acres here on the Redwood incident and 0% contained. We've got firefighters out there doing their best to get around this thing. As you well know, that many of you have been affected either by evacuations or your homes have been damaged. We do have damage inspection teams that are on the ground today, but I want you to know that we're not only managing this incident, but we're also the sulfur incident. And unfortunately, the sulfur incident has suffered some of the same damage that you all have, and we'll be starting there because the number of damaged residents is a lot higher at this point. So we're actively engaged there. We'll try to get you more information as the day progresses, but one thing you have to realize, this wind event happened throughout the north, and we have numerous fires in the area, a lot of drawdown on resources. So we're doing everything we can to get additional resources, but also get the area secured enough so we can allow for evacuees to be able to get back in there and assess their properties later this afternoon, if at all possible. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Senator.
Good morning. Want to let you know how sorry I am, as many of you have been facing some really challenging situations. And our region over the last 3 years have been severely impacted by wildland fire. The Valley Fire and the Clayton Fire, here the Redwood Complex, and the terrible incident that we're seeing happening right now in Sonoma and Napa counties. Would like to let you know that the state of California has been actively engaged since the start of this fire. And I want to take a moment to say thank you to the Sheriff's Office, all the Board of Supervisors, City Councils who have been banding together to ensure that residents are getting the services they need now and into the days to come. What I'd like to be able to do today is talk with you about how the state of California has been engaged, what assets are currently moving, and what you can expect here in the days to come. California Office of Emergency Services have now embedded the regional administrator within the region. The County of Mendocino has requested the state of California provide California Office of Emergency Service representative to be able to be in their Office of Emergency Services with them. We anticipate that that order will be filled and an individual from the state will be actively engaged in the County of Mendocino here in the hours to come. We are seeing significant number of shelters in Mendocino County, Sonoma County, Napa County, Lake County opened up. What I'll let you know is that the cavalry has arrived, and it arrived yesterday. We'll say this is not going to be a 48 to a 72-hour event. We are anticipating that shelters will be open for many days to come. Since we know that's going to be happening, we wanted to make sure that we over-delivered. 3,000 cots have been delivered into the area, 40,000 meals, 60,000 gallons of drinking water, 30,000 blankets, and tens of thousands of pillows and sheet sets. All stand ready to be able to be delivered to any city here in Mendocino County or any county shelter. FEMA has also arrived to the region. We do have a team from FEMA who's currently in the County of Sonoma and will be serving the region in all these large wildfires out of the County of Sonoma, but will also be available, obviously, to the County of Mendocino. Caltrans and the closure that we've had on 101 in Willits. As you know, one of our main priorities is to get Highway 101 open, which I believe it opened up this morning. We have confirmation, correct? A $5 million emergency contract was let out yesterday. Granite Construction was brought in to ensure that we have at least one lane traffic control on Highway 101 so we can open up our main artery, right, between all of us and the Oregon border and into the Bay Area. We will most likely have that one lane traffic control here for the coming days, but again, $5 million has been let out from the state of California to ensure that we have continuous operations on Highway 101. I'd like to be able to add just a small amount from CAL FIRE's report. I want to take a moment to say thank you to CAL FIRE. They do an amazing job, and I think we need to give them a round of applause, and all the firefighters. I was on the phone with Chief Pinmont from CAL FIRE earlier this morning. What I will let you know is that every aircraft in the country, every aircraft that is in the country that is not fighting a fire is in the state of California or is on its way. Out of the McClellan Air Force Base, which is where we have a lot of our larger aircraft, everything from the 747 to those aircraft that can scoop water as they get close to a lake. McClellan Air Force Base ran a record 45 missions yesterday. It's an all-time state record. A record amount of retardant was dropped in Mendocino County, Sonoma County, Napa County. It set an all-time high for the state of California. We have a 747 that is operational currently. That 747 ran a record amount of air hours yesterday as well. I'd like to transition to communication. We are having significant challenges with communication because we have seen both fiber lines as well as cell towers that have been hit by the numerous fires. I'll be leading a call at 9 a.m. today with the California Office of Emergency Services, focusing on Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, Suddenlink as well. And I also know that PG&E, who we have a representative here today, is beginning the staging, but because we have active fire in so many areas, they have to wait to be able to get the all clear. But PG&E is beginning staging as we have thousands of individuals without power. I will end it with this. The state of California is here with you now, and I will commit to you. We will be here with you in the days to come. A bit emotional, not a whole lot of sleep, and it's just, our region has been hit incredibly hard. But Mendocino County is so strong, and I want to say how grateful we are to be able to work with you, and I want to say how grateful we are to the incredible leaders that we have here today, and thank them, and we happy to answer questions at the appropriate time. It is now my honor to be able to turn it over to Carmel Angelo, the County Administrator for the County of Mendocino, and say how grateful we are for her incredible work along with the Board of Supervisors.
Good morning, and thank you all to Sheriff Allman and everyone for being here. My message to you is that Mendocino County is open. We are here to serve you. That's our job. We are here to serve the public. The Sheriff's already given you a phone number. We have had staff in the Emergency Operations Center. We have had staff in the shelters, and we have the presence of the Red Cross here in our shelters working with us. And so anything you need, we're here, we're open for business, and please call us. That's why we're here. So that's my message to you. Thank you.
So we have representatives from the hospital here, from both Ukiah Hospital and Howard Memorial Hospital, because there's been rumors about hospital. Number one, Howard Memorial Hospital has not been evacuated, and it's under perfect care. Ukiah Valley Medical Center is running smooth as expected. I absolutely want to thank 4 of our supervisors who happen to be here, and Supervisor Crosky, I know you were an evacuated person also. Thanks for being here. Supervisor Hamburg, thank you very much. Chair McCowan, thank you very much. And the Mayor, Jim Brown, Mayor of Ukiah, thank you for being here. As we continue our roles today, I wanted to give a shout out to the people who you expect me to give a shout out to. We have first responders who haven't gone home since yesterday morning at 1:30. They're awesome. Yes. We have volunteer ham radios. And if you think ham radios are a thing of the past, I'm telling you, ham radios have been our only communication to the hospitals throughout our county, and I certainly want to appreciate it.
I would like to also mention Mo. She's here.
Councilmember Mo, thank you everybody knows Mo. There have been complete neighborhoods that have been wiped out. We know that people want to get into their communities to see what's left, and we are working closely with CAL FIRE. There will be a press conference at 4 o'clock this afternoon for the purpose of giving an absolute update, because we are going to relay all of our information to you. I want to talk a little bit about the fatalities without giving names specific. We have 2 confirmed deaths, and I think it's fair to say that we've had the 3rd confirmed death. 2 bodies have been removed. The 3rd body, our detective unit is in the process of working with CAL FIRE to remove that body. There's unknowns out there because of the people who have not checked in with their relatives. We have had a massive animal rescue operation going. We have large animal rescues going on in Willits and in Ukiah. All the animals that we have the photos will be put on Facebook later today, hopefully, so the owners will be able to see and claim their critters. You heard the stats about the number of acres, right? You covered that. The number of structures, 50 structures, 50 residences with an additional 40 extra structures. But those numbers are going to be very fluid, because until we get our firefighting on the ground of going to go into the recovery mode instead of the rescue mode, that's where we're going. We'll gladly take your questions. I do want to talk about the weather and say that according to today's weather reports, we really don't know. The Bay Area weather reports have said we could be in for some afternoon weather. Please, I'm going to please ask you, on the Sheriff's Office website, MendocinoSheriff.com, people can register their cell phone number to a geographical location. If we have a reverse 911 that needs to go out to a central area, if you do not have your cell phone registered to that area, you will not get the phone call. MendocinoSheriff.com, please check in and register. I promise we're not tracking your cell phone. We want to give information to you. If you have information, you're going to feel comfortable. So with that, we'll gladly take some questions unless anybody back here has a specific, I'm sorry, CHP.
Let me just clarify. Bruce Carpenter, Commander of the Ukiah CHP office. Just to clarify on Highway 101, it has been actually open since 10:30 last night. There's one lane southbound because of the guardrail damage. We have a lot of guardrail that burned up. So there's only going to be one lane southbound, but northbound is totally open. Highway 20 remains open, and as of right now, we're just manning 2 fixed posts at this point. But again, as the sheriff has said, we're here to work with our public safety partners here. We're here to provide all the support we can, and we stand ready to bring in more resources if it becomes necessary to do that. So with that, I'll step back. Thank you.
I do want to talk about donations, please. We are not asking for tangible items to be donated. Lake County learned a lesson from that last year. If people want to donate, there's certainly the Red Cross that we're going to introduce Jeff Bumgarner to, and the Community Foundation within the local. So, Red Cross Representative Jeff Bumgarner.
Thank you, Sheriff Allman. Appreciate that. So, in addition to donations, I want to point out, if you are looking for loved ones that you haven't connected with, Red Cross has a website called safeandwell.org. We are registering people who are in shelters onto that website. You can go there and find them and can connect from either end. We are working shelters in 2 locations at both high schools in Ukiah and Willits, and we'll be there for the foreseeable future as long as there's a need. In those high schools, comfortable place to stay, to sleep, mental health services and health services are there as well. So if any of you are interested in helping out with Red Cross, we are taking spontaneous volunteers. You can go to redcross.org, click on the volunteer button, punch in your zip code, and fill out the initial application, and somebody will get back to you. We're trying to get the turnaround within 24 hours, sometimes 48, because our systems are definitely inundated at this point. Thanks.
The Sheriff's Office has a very active chaplain program. I certainly want to appreciate Senior Chaplain Dennis Long and the chaplains that are doing the work that are working with the community. So we'll take questions politely. Yes, ma'am.
Sheriff, what help can the rest of us give? Where can we effectively work? There are dozens, hundreds of us wanting to help. And
hundreds of them wanting to work. Volunteer coordination, who would that go to? Carmel Angelo.
Is that NCO? Or
So North Coast Opportunities.
thank you.
And the Red Cross. Yes, sir.
Good morning. In addition to the confirmed fatalities, do you have any number of people that have been unaccounted for or listed as missing?
Unaccounted for, no. I know that if you look at the number of our shelters, Ukiah High School last night had 113, Willis High School had 74. So the unaccountability is not confirmed, and hopefully at 4 o'clock this afternoon we'll have an answer on that. We're not seeing major missing people. We're just trying to coordinate the location so they can be reunited with their family members. Yes, ma'am?
This is for CAL FIRE. How many outside resources have been committed to the area, and how many have arrived so far?
Well, we've it's kind of a hard question to answer in per se, because we put orders in throughout the state, and the state of California, CAL FIRE has reached out of the state for additional resources. So we have a myriad of resources coming in throughout California. But one thing I'd like to point out is local government here locally. We've tapped about everybody we can, and they've done a great job to basically help keep us in the game, so to speak, in the fight. So we've utilized every asset we can get our hands on. So an actual number is it's varying at this point, I know that's not an exact answer, but we do have hundreds of folks on the ground today trying to get after this thing. And I want to point out there's a lot of people that haven't slept for over 36 hours, and those are your neighbors that have been affected by the fire as well. So a lot of great work by the volunteers as well as the local paid staff in the county and surrounding counties. So we are asking for as much help as we can. We put those orders in to get those resources moving from all over the state. And when we talk about our incident management team, it's people from San Diego all the way to Siskiyou County. We've come from all over the county to be part of this team to come here and help the community and the resources here deal with the emergency. Okay?
Another question for Cal Fire.
Sure.
Was the shortage of resources on Monday morning a problem for when you first started fighting the fire?
Well, when we say a shortage, we had people engaged. There were people engaged in fires throughout the region. When I say the region, the Greater Bay Area, as well as other incidents. We do on a national level. Federally, they have been drawn down because of the hurricanes, but we still had the majority of California resources available. So what you were dealing with was more of a very dynamic fire environment, and when you have the winds and the fuel loading, which you probably all heard us talk about at the beginning of the spring, is we were going to have a very active fire season. And so it played out because of the amount of fuel that we had and the wind that we had created an environment that was very ripe for very rapidly moving fire. So just one of the things to go back upon and remember, be patient and flexible with us because we're trying to deal with the aftermath of something that moved very quickly.
The local county fire resources as well as CAL FIRE, law enforcement, everybody was staffed up, everybody was well prepared. The situation was very dynamic, so everybody within the county, all resources, all entities played a part in it, and everything worked out very well, and it's still working out very well.
One of the things that CAL FIRE will do is when we have a predicted weather event, we'll bring on additional people that were like off duty. We'll staff additional reserve equipment. We'll put on more aircraft, more engines and crews, and we did those. However, we had a lot of fire to deal with. Okay. Yes.
For the sheriff, are people able to get escorted into affected areas to get medicines and animals? And
so the repopulation, we'll have more information at 4 o'clock this afternoon. At this point, no. We're trying to work with the hospitals on if there's a medication need on that, as well as medication for pets. I do want to give a shout out to Ukiah School District, and Deb Kubin is here. Not only have they opened a shelter, the Ukiah High School gymnasium is open for lunch today for any resident that needs to have a meal. I certainly appreciate the cooperation that both Willits and Ukiah School Districts have given. Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me. What's the status of that major fiber optic line that AT&T has, and is there an estimate on when AT&T will be able to repair that?
It's a great question. We've been in touch with AT&T. We are hoping today. I'm hoping for right now. But we're hoping for later today. I do want to talk about internet coverage in Willits, because with the loss of cell phones and landlines, there's been zero communication with the exception of the Willits Library at 390 East Commercial Street. You can get your internet connection there. And please notify family members. Don't spend all time searching Facebook or going to eBay. Okay? Notify family members, tell them you're okay, and hopefully they'll call other people that they're okay. Any other questions?
Sure.
Oh.
Just on that, there will be a 9 a.m. call statewide on all issues with AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, Suddenlink, and that's going to be one of the main topics. Candidly, we have not heard a firm deadline when full service will be restored, and Sheriff will be able to hopefully have something by 4 p.m. this evening.
The AT&T trucks are in county. We know that. Supervisor Brown.
Yes, and when you talk about volunteers, yesterday, even though my own community and my home were impacted, going to the shelters, it was asked the question about what can volunteers do. Yesterday I spent my time at the shelters and also downtown Redwood Valley, visited people in Potter Valley that were still, their homes still, well, potentially being impacted. But just going and talking to the people, because there's devastation, there's disbelief, their whole lives have been turned around. And I found at the shelter, just talking to the people, it gives them hope to know a community member cares about them and is concerned. So I think that's a perfect way to reach out. And we're a very strong community, and even though we don't know each other, everyone is, it's our community, our own people. So thank you.
Yes, Sheriff, can you explain sort of the neighborhoods that have been affected and which ones may still be evacuated?
I'm not anticipating any additional evacuations today. I don't think so. I don't think there's going to be any additional evacuations. The neighborhoods that have been evacuated, for the most part, the western side of Potter Valley, continuing on, and Redwood Valley, and then unfortunately the fire crossed to the west side of Highway 101. The winds were so strong that the embers were going 3/4 of a mile and doing spot fires 3/4 of a mile ahead of the fire. So that's why we're having the fires on the west as well as the east.
So most of the damage was in the western part of Potter Valley as well as
Redwood Valley. The most damage that I'm aware of is on the northern portion of Redwood Valley. Yes.
Just to keep in mind, when we're dealing with the fire environment and the weather, obviously today is a little bit different than it was yesterday. We'll continue to see changes in the weather, so be prepared. And one of the things, it's always hard to be prepared to leave in a rapid fashion, but it always is a good reminder that if you haven't got your ready-to-go kit ready to go, you need to be prepared to evacuate no matter what the conditions are, because it can change. And unfortunately, we saw a rapid-moving fire over the last 36 hours, and people had to leave rapidly. So get your to-go kit. Evacuations are fluid, so be prepared to evacuate until we have a better control of this fire. So just make sure that you're ready to go. And I just don't want you guys to believe that this fight is done, because it's not. We've got a lot of work left to do.
Is there any way we can volunteer for where we've been evicted from and help you guys out? There's nobody up there on Pine Mountain.
The best thing that we can do, not only for the safety of yourself, but the surrounding communities, is to make sure to find those organizations that was mentioned earlier to help, as well as the Red Cross. And the reason we say that is one of our first priorities is life safety, and that's life safety for the citizens, but also for our first responders that are out there. And if we have people that are untrained or may not have the right tools or in the fire environment, then we have to worry not about fighting the fire, but getting them out of there. So we'd love your donation and help, but I would strongly encourage you to work through the county program that's already established in the Red Cross.
I want to talk about down power lines. That's one of the biggest problems we have right now, because the power poles that have literally been burnt through and the down power lines which are still charged. So PG&E is working on that. I want to talk about the burns victims that we had. Other than the fatalities, we had 4 major burn victims, and over 24 other burn victims were taken to Ukiah Valley and Willits hospitals. The sheriff's office did make an arrest yesterday for a looter. Within 12 hours of the fire, he had entered a unburned structure and had stolen property, and our deputy sheriffs made the arrest.
Good.
Until the internet service is back up to the banking and to the gas stations, we certainly appreciate your patience on that. I know yesterday the gas stations in Willits did run out of gasoline and diesel, and we've been making calls this morning to prioritize the delivery of fuel to that area. Aaron. PG&E was working with the natural gas closures. I know our concern was at one of the hospitals, and we're working with that for the natural gas closures. I don't want to misspeak on that. If there's a PG&E representative here who would like to speak on that.
I don't want to say anything on the record because I don't have updated information, but the intention is to provide the Willits Hospital with CNG or LNG so that they are able to perform surgeries and treat patients. The gas was shut off for safety reasons.
What about gas stations in Boonville and Anderson Valley? Are those
I'm not aware of any shortage of... Wait a minute. I think the gas station in Boonville is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
Do we have is there any information about any damage to Golden Rule Mobile Home Park?
I drove past Golden Rule this morning at around midnight, and I'm not aware of damage. I'm aware that it's completely surrounded by fire, but resources have been stationed down there. And one of the things about Golden Rule has their own private volunteer fire department with fire engines, and a shout out to them. Tracy Livingston and those guys are doing everything they can without any government assistance of protecting the citizens.
Tom, does that mean the whole Ridgewood, or just for the mobile home park?
I think they're doing as much as they can. However, the fire is so big encompassing, I think they're just going to stay for structure protection in the area, all of Ridgewood and the trailer. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm just wondering, maybe for the CAL FIRE, is there any way that you can predict where this fire is going to be moving today, especially since it's popped over to the west side of 101?
I'm glad you addressed that to them.
So it's very difficult to predict it. Obviously, Mother Nature has a major role in it, and what we have to do is get the latest intel on the weather reports. So the first night, as everybody knew, the first night was a significant fire spread because we had significant wind. Wind is the ultimate factor. It was coming from the north, pushing the fire in a southwest direction. Winds have subsided right now, so right now you're going to get a little bit of a lateral spread, which is the perimeter of the fire. It's going to slowly spread laterally. If we get winds, and we're predicting to get more winds Thursday, northern winds, which will push the fire southern. We hope to have control lines and or prevention measures in place well before then. So as far as prediction, not as of yet, but wind and weather period is a major factor for spread.
Where would you suggest people would go to find the fire perimeter?
I would suggest you don't find the fire perimeter.
On the website.
Online, where can we see the fire perimeter?
We have an active public information officer who will be getting that stuff out. What we'll do is we'll put out what's called
Get in here.
Well, see, we'll put out information in different locations in the community so that we can get the fire perimeter updates on what the containment level are. So we'll have maps and that stuff available as the day progresses. The team's getting up to speed this morning and last night, and we'll get that stuff out to you. So we'll have access points to there. You can also go to Google and visit CAL FIRE. They do have a website, and there is an active map that's you can link to it. So
fire.ca.gov. We'll get you close.
And we will have a map this afternoon at the 4 o'clock press conference.
Okay, great. And it also sounds like the libraries are a good place to go, where you can actually
Can't do that, Carrie. What was that? Libraries.
Go to the libraries for a map.
Tom, for those of us maybe interested in the status of our own home, should we just wait till 4 o'clock, or would it be a good idea to call this number? All right.
There's no problem of you if you do not know the status of your home. This is going to be almost a one-way conversation. Call this number with your name and the address. We have deputy sheriffs that are in the area. If we can get your information and call you back, we will absolutely do that. So please call that number. Don't be prepared for an immediate answer, but we'll certainly do it today. You know, as Carrie Brown said, some people have lost everything they've owned in life. The sheriff's office, we had a deputy sheriff lose everything he had.
I forgot to get my long pants.
Well, you still look.
But I made it. I got out.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're safe. The safety is, as CAL FIRE said, is the most important thing. The fact that we did evacuate some people who decided to go back and fight fire at their house, and we do not know their status, should be a concern to everybody. Please listen to what the road signs say. Don't drive over fire hoses. If an ICHP officer says stop, stop. It's really and truly, there's a reason. We're not doing this to waste your time or our time. We're doing it for everybody's safety.
What would that phone number be?
467
6428.
6428.
Did I hear you say that 50 houses had burned and 40 extra structures?
Exactly.
That's the total in Redwood Valley, or does that include Park Valley?
That's for this fire, so that's everything.
Okay.
And understand, we're going to work with the sheriff and the county to do those inspections today, and that number can go up or down, but that's just an initial survey of what damage is out there. So there's going to be a lot that unfolds over the next 48 hours on what's actually out there. Okay.
I spoke with insurance representatives yesterday. Some of the major insurance companies are ready to cut checks right now to people who've lost their house for the emergency. I know that our hotels are full. In the sheriff's office, as we learned during the lightning complex, if anybody has a report of any business gouging customers, please report it to the sheriff's office. This is not the time to take advantage of what's happening.
Can I just ask one quick question for animals and stuff? What website can we find them on?
So the sheriff's office Facebook page was going to have the information as we're loading it as much as possible. We haven't been taking pictures as we were taking the animals, so today we're trying to regroup and take the pictures.
And if we call and say, like, we're...
I would prefer on animals if you could take care of it through Facebook, please.
I have a question. People yesterday were advised that they'd evacuated to the coast to stay put, not to return to Ukiah Valley. Does that remain the advice for today?
That is not the advice for today. I don't know who made that evacuation. That did not come from the sheriff's office.
No, I mean people who evacuated from Redwood Valley went
right
over to the coast. Can they come back?
Well, they can't come back to their house.
No.
Yes, they can come back inland. Sure, certainly.
I might be able to clarify on that a little bit. As part of the traffic control yesterday, when 101 was closed, we had people coming from the coast, and we basically had to send them back to the coast because there was nowhere for them to go. So they were directed back down Highway 1 to come back in through the Boonville area to get back into the Ukiah area. So maybe that's where that came from. But yeah, no one was, not what you were stating, but it was part of the traffic control plan, I would imagine. So thank you.
Lake County Sheriff's Office, the sheriff and I have been in contact because they have a fire also, and they will be at the press conference this afternoon if you have any Lake County fires or questions. I know that one of the things CAL FIRE has done is the Incident Command Center, which is at the fairgrounds, is both for Lake County and the Mendocino County. So all the operations are going to be operating out of here. Yes, ma'am. I cannot hear you. Okay. So, in speaking to the superintendent, we certainly know that schools are closed today. This afternoon, a decision is going to be made about tomorrow. Is that right, Debbie?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. We'll see you at 4. Yes. 4 o'clock here. Yes. Thank you very much.